The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all small businesses in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but there is help to move your business forward. The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center is available to assist entrepreneurs and small businesses. The VISBDC is the territory's #1 resource for small businesses and is sustained by the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration. The VISBDC is nationally accredited and provides one-on-one advising, business education training, and technical assistance at no cost. Attend workshops by experts from both the public and private sectors. From idea generation to exit strategies, the staff at the VISBDC are ready to assist you. So don't wait. Call, email, or visit them on the web at www.visbdc.org and Facebook, or simply download their mobile app on the Apple or Google Play Store. Just search VISBDC. Discover how they can help your business grow and succeed.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the VISBDC's hosting of Developing a Business Plan. This webinar is designed to help entrepreneurs and small business owners learn how to start and grow a successful business. This webinar will cover the reasons to develop a plan, what to include, not to mention an executive summary, company information, product service, HR, marketing, operations, and financial plans, and tips for writing a successful business plan. Let me take a few minutes to introduce our presenter for today. We have advisor Mary Jo Williams. She has worn many hats over the years at the University of the Virgin Islands. She is currently a business advisor for the VISBDC. During her career at UVI, she has held the positions of Human Resources Technician, Financial Aid Counselor, Student Employment Officer, and a Business Counselor and Training Coordinator at the VISBDC. Ms. Williams has a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, and she enjoys working with people. So at this time, Mary Jo, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and share your screen. And I'll just let persons in the audience know, this is a friendly reminder to put your questions in the chat, and they'll be addressed either in the chat or later during the question and answer segment. A copy of this presentation will be available from the chat. And we encourage you after this seminar to take a few minutes and fill out the training survey that lets us know how we're doing. So Mary Jo, you can go ahead and maximize your screen, and then we can go slideshow from beginning. And then everyone will start seeing the presentation. So just bear with us, everyone, as we work through technical difficulties and get the PowerPoint up and ready to show.
Okay. Is that the correct presentation?
We're not seeing it in slideshow mode. We still need you to hit from beginning.
It's
from beginning at the very top left.
Yeah, that's what I did. Okay. All right, let's start slideshow from the beginning.
You're gonna have to share your screen again because it stopped sharing.
Share screen. Share that one. Slideshow from the beginning. Swap. Is that right?
We don't see it on our end just as yet.
Okay. Let me stop again. Let me share. Maybe it's this one. Oh, wait a minute. This one. I said share.
Okay, there you go. Now we see it.
Lord of mercy. Good morning, everybody. There's nothing like technology to get your blood pumping. During the practice, I had it perfect. It's showtime. and it's challenging. But anyway, like Miss Sharika Industrious Phillips said, my name is Mary Jo Williams, and I am happy to be here with you guys this morning to share with you developing your business plan. We're sponsored by Oriental Bank, Popular, and First Bank. And as it said in the commercial, the VIS BDC is a joint venture arrangement between the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration. And because of that, most of our services to you guys are at no charge. Okay. And we're going to go to the next screen. In our core functions, we provide business advisory, like I said, at no charge. We have affordable trainings, and affordable means most of them have been at no charge. And since COVID, most of them have been webinars. So you can see those, a lot of those on our YouTube channel. We also are a resource center for small businesses, small business owners and managers. And basically what we do is we work with people from the inception, when they're thinking about having a business, all the way to their exit strategy. When they're thinking about it, people ask us questions as they're launching, we work with them. And I have, yeah. And then there's the, oops, sorry. My screen, oops. Okay. All right. As they're launching the business, growing the business, and reinventing, and finally with their exit strategy. Now, with the exit strategy, or we want people to think about how they're going to go out of business, even as they're starting business. Not necessarily go out of business, but how are they going to transition? Are they looking to start a business so they can sell it down the road? Are they looking to start a business so they can will it to their heirs? Are they looking to start a business and work it until they die? You know, think about how you want to exit the business. So you want to think about that even in the very, very beginning. And you want to think about reinventing your business, say, as the technology changes. In instance, like with Blockbuster, they should have been working at reinventing their business, but they didn't, and Netflix came along and basically put them out of business. Okay, and then growing your business. You know, every business starts small. Even the big ones that we know about today, Microsoft, FedEx, Apple, they all started small and they've grown over time. So the SBDC is here for all the stages of your business. And if you're a new business owner, almost everything you do is going to be new to you. So we definitely want you to tap into our services on a frequent basis, not just to get you started, not just to help you get a loan if that's what you're looking for down the road, but for the life of your business till you no longer qualify as a small business. Then basically small businesses are considered businesses that have 500 employees or less. But then there are some businesses that are considered big businesses after they reach a certain revenue threshold. But for the most part, most businesses can work with the SBDCs for a good long time. All right. Now, today's training objective is to introduce what a business plan is and what it can be used for in a business. What are the contents of the business plan, some tips, and actually writing the business plan. Now, we'll talk about the business plan and its elements. And it's not a lot of slides. However, there's a lot of information here as we go through. So we're going to organize our thoughts about developing the business plan. There are different kinds of plans. There are plans to bring on investors, to secure bank financing. But most importantly, the business plan is your roadmap. It says what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, what kind of monies you can make from doing it, what kind of expenses are associated with doing it. And it's your roadmap. And a lot of people only look to do a business plan when they're looking to borrow money, but that's the least of its purposes. But you can't generally borrow money without having a written business plan. And a lot of people already have a plan, but they don't necessarily have it written. And having it written is a good idea because it allows you to share it with other people. And when life gets kind of hectic, as it sometimes does, if your plan is written down, it can help you to refocus, and it can allow other people to help you work through and on your business, and not just in your business. All right. Now, the business plan is a means of predicting the future success of the business idea before you ever get started. We want you to work things out on paper before you start spending money. Basically, once you start spending and investing money in your business, especially in a new business, the money goes out a whole lot faster than it comes in. So the business plan helps you to see what kind of monies those are going to be, what are going to be your expenses. And it helps you to think objectively about what you're doing. Some people think, well, because I'm doing it, it's going to be great. Whatever it is, whatever idea they come up with, because they're doing it, it's going to be great. And historically, that might have been the case. But when you're looking to start a business or grow a business, you want to put stuff down on paper so you can look at it objectively. You can get somebody else to look at it with you so that you can be sure to dot all your I's and cross all your T's, so that hopefully there aren't any surprises. Okay, so your plan, when you put it together, will compose of a full plan, and it'll be a guide and a tool to check on your progress. It'll provide you with the standard to review and update as your business progresses. Because if you have a plan in the beginning, as your business grows, you have something to compare your actual numbers to your projected numbers. So that's another good reason for having the plan. Okay. Now, the business plan elements. Business plan description, and you'll need a description which says the mission of the business and defines the organization's business, its objectives, and what it will and how it will reach these objectives. A vision statement details where the organization aspires to go. It's like the vision might be to be the world's best coffee company while maintaining true to our core values. And the mission might be to provide people with energy that they need to achieve the goals, one cup of coffee at a time. Okay, so the mission is a general statement of how you're going to achieve your vision. And strategies are a series of ways using the mission to achieve that vision. Okay, now you're going to have an executive summary for your business, which is going to summarize everything in your plan. And it's going to be maybe 1 or 2 pages. It's going to be at the beginning of your business plan, but it's going to be the last thing that you write, or at least it should be the last thing that you write, because it's going to summarize all the other stuff that's in the plan. And you can't summarize what's in the plan before you've written it. So that's why it should be the last thing that you write. Okay, and then you're going to have a legal description of your business. Is your business going to be a sole proprietorship, a LLC, a trust, a S corp? Okay, and you describe that all in your business description, because which form of ownership your business takes will determine the kind of liability risk that your business is also taking. Okay, and you're also going, you're also going to talk about the SWOT analysis. And in your SWOT analysis, you're going to talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats to your business. And the strengths are going to be what your business has that makes it good. Okay, the opportunities, what's out there in the market that's going to allow your business to start, grow, and progress. The weaknesses are things inherent in your business. It may be you don't have enough money to do all the things you want to do. Okay, so, or you're missing some key personnel to do some of the things you want to do. So that could be a weakness of the business. And the threats are the things that are outside of your control that could affect your business. And one of those elements, at least in the Virgin Islands, is almost always the weather, especially if you have a brick and mortar kind of business. The weather can make you or break you sometimes. Okay. And then you're going to talk about what's your competitive edge. Why are people going to do business with you who's just starting versus somebody who's been in business for a while? What is it that you're going to offer the public that's going to fill a need that they have? Okay. What are you going to offer them? Okay. Now, another part of the plan is the management. Okay. Maybe you're one person as you start. Okay. But you have to put in, you have to put in your resume, which will say what, okay, you want to put in your resume, and it's going to highlight what you have to offer to the business that will make the business successful. Okay. And if you're a one person operation, as your business grows, or as you want it to grow, you will highlight the other positions that will be in the company. Okay. And if you already have some people identified to fill those positions, you want to have their resumes also, because you want to toot your horn. You want to let people know why your management, the people that are affiliated with your business, are going to help to make your business successful. All right. And then you're going to have a marketing plan. All right. And your marketing plan is going to cover a lot of different items. As you can see here, you talk about the industry at large, your potential customers, the benefits of your product or service, geography, distribution and servicing, advertising, sales plan, public relations, pricing, and sales terms and credit policies. All right. Now, the marketing plan is like the detailed playbook that outlines how the company will promote and sell its products and services. It's the strategic roadmap that guides all of the marketing activities to ensure that they align with the overall business goals. Okay. The marketing plan is going to involve a deep dive into the market. That's where you talk about the industry at large. Okay. And you're going to identify who your potential customers are. And for example, we had a water truck delivery guy, and he was saying, my customers are going to be everybody in St. Thomas. Well, everybody in St. Thomas needs water, but for a water truck delivery guy, everybody in St. Thomas is not necessarily his customer. Okay, people that would be his customers would be people that had cisterns, for example. Somebody on WAPA water, if they don't have a cistern, they're probably not going to buy a truck of water from the water truck guy. But how do you narrow it down to who's going to be your customer? Well, one of the tools that you can use in terms of deciding who your customers are is the census data. And for the water truck guy, you look at the census data. And because when they do the census, they question people in terms of whether or not they have cisterns, whether or not they're on public water. So in the census, it says, say for example, it says that there's 17,000 households in St. Thomas that use cisterns for their water supply. Okay, so that means there's 17 possible water truck delivery customers. Okay, but he's probably not going to be able to service all 17,000, but so he needs to figure out what's going to be a reasonable percentage of those people that he can service. So sometimes you have to pick a number out of the air to be reasonable, but if you've never had a water truck business, maybe you can say maybe 1% or 2% of the people that have cisterns would end up being his customers. So that would give him a number to work with, at least to start. Now, when you're putting together who your customers are going to be, and you're putting together your business plan, especially if you haven't run a business in the particular industry that you're starting, a lot of your information is going to be your best guess. It's going to be your best guess based on research, though. It's not going to be your best guess just pulling numbers out of the sky just because they sound good. Okay, so in this example, the water truck guy decides maybe 1% of the people that have cisterns would be potential customers for me. So that gives him a number to estimate how many trucks of water he would deliver on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on an annual basis. And in the water truck business, you have high seasons and you have low season. So in looking at your potential customers, with a high season, you're going to have more customers. That's the high season for water truck business is when we're not getting much rain. And then the low season is going to be when we're getting lots of rain. So who the potential customers are going to be and how you're going to work with them will be based on that. Okay. And And what are the benefits that your product or service offers to your potential customers? You need to figure out who your potential customer is and then figure out what are going to be the benefits. Why should they do business with your company? Okay. And you have to limit your geography based on the kind of business that you're doing. In the water trucking business, your business, if you're on St. Thomas, would probably be St. Thomas and St. John and maybe Water Island. If you're in St. Croix, you're probably going to be pretty much in St. Croix. But that's if you have that kind of business. If you're an internet-based business, then you have a bigger geography that your business could attract. Okay. You think about distribution, how you're going to get your product or service out to the people, how you're going to advertise. Are you going to use traditional media, newspaper, radio? Are you going to use social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, those kinds of things? All right. Oops. And your marketing plan helps you to come up with your pricing for your products and service based on who your customers are going to be. And you need to look at, in terms of your product or service, is your product or service a need that people have to have regardless, or is your product or service a want that people have to have discretionary income to buy? And based on that, it'll determine sort of what your pricing is going to be. And it'll also determine on what your customers are going to be, because if your product is something that people need discretionary income to buy, then your client population might be much smaller than if your product or service is something that people have to have, like water. Another part of the business plan is the operations, where you talk about the employees, the compensation, the vendors, the outside resources, your accounting or bookkeeping. Okay. And on our website, we've got, under our resource tab, under the VISBDC website, under the resource tab, we have lots of worksheets there that could assist you in working through some of these operational things. Okay. But where are your employees going to come from? And how are they going to be compensated? Vendors and outside resources. Who are going to be your vendors? Now, in St. Thomas, a lot of times, well, depending on your product or service again, a lot of vendors may be off island. So you have to look at that. Oh, sorry. And you got to have accounting or bookkeeping, because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Okay. And the whole reason for one of the reasons for going into business is to make money. And you can't know if you're making money or not if you're not keeping track of it. So you want to keep really good records, and you want to have, at least in the beginning, maybe you're doing all the record keeping, but as the business grows, you might have an accountant and or bookkeeper, a bookkeeper and or an accountant. All right. Now, another thing you have to take into consideration are the risks and the financial management. What are going to be the startup costs for your business? You have to look at everything that you need. You're going to need supplies, you're going to need inventory, you're going to need insurance, you're going to need a license, all those things that you need to start a business. You need to write them down, okay? And then you're going to come up with a pro forma profit and loss, because you're going to estimate what your revenues are going to be. You're going to estimate what your expenses are going to be. But it's, again, it's not just pulling numbers out of the sky. It's based on the research that you've done, and it's based specifically on your particular industry. Okay, now your budget is your monthly cash, your monthly cash, your cash flow, and the cash that you need to sustain the business. Okay, and again, you're going to need to have an idea of what the things you need in your business, and you're going to write them down, and that'll help you to come up with your budget. You need electricity, you need water, you need gas for your vehicles, you need a vehicle, you need advertising. All of those things go in your budget. Then the balance sheet shows where your business is at a particular point in time. Your income, your assets equals your liabilities plus your expenses. You're going to do a cash flow analysis. Okay, and cash flow is the money going in and coming out of the business. And it's real important that you have more money coming in than you have going out in the long run. But in your slow season, you might have less money coming in on a monthly basis and not enough to cover your bills based on the slow season. But your peak season, you have more than enough money coming in to cover your expenses. So you save some of that money from the peak season to cover your cash flow shortages during your slow season. And then you want to have a break-even analysis. And the break-even analysis is going to say, at X point, my income equals my expenses. And in terms of business, you want your break-even to end up being earlier in the month as opposed to later in the month. You hopefully have enough business coming in so that you cover all of your expenses, and it's much better if you cover all of your expenses based on the revenues in the first 10 days of the month than if you get to that break-even point where you've covered all of your expenses by the 24th or the 25th day of the month, because that means you have much less money showing up as profit because it takes you so long to get to that break-even point. So you want to know, when are your expenses going to equal the revenues that you've brought in? All right. And then there's funding. It's all, sorry. Oops. I do have a funny hand. Okay, and then there's funding. How are you going to fund your business? You're going to talk about that in the next couple of slides. And as I mentioned earlier, you want to think about your exit strategies. Okay, now these are some of the websites that will be important to you as you put together your business plan and as you start your business and as you grow your business. The IRS, it has lots of good resources there, forms that you're going to need to fill out in terms of your taxes. Lieutenant Governor's office, you have to register your business there before you get a business license, and they have a lot of good information on their website. Grants.gov, well, that's generally not a place that for-profit businesses can spend a lot of time, but if you're a nonprofit organization, you can see every kind of grant that the federal government has to offer on their grants.gov page. After you register your business with Lieutenant Governor's office, you would apply for a business license at the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs. And Lieutenant Governor's office business registration and license applications are all done online. The Bureau of Internal Revenue for the Virgin Islands, that's where you file your tax returns. And they have a lot of good information on their website. They even have a booklet that's called the tax booklet, and it lays out the different basic taxes that the government collects in the territory and the basic taxes that a business has to file. And two really good, well, a really good resource is the SBA, mainly because one, they fund us, so that makes them a really good resource. But they have a website that has tons of information, and you can be on there from sun up to sundown and still not cover all the different services that the SBA has to offer for small businesses. And their main reason for existing is to help businesses start, grow, and succeed. SCORE is similar to SBDC. They have mentors and they work with businesses to help them grow. They have mentoring, then they work basically with volunteers, and those volunteers are usually volunteers in a specific industry that a person is looking to do business in. And it used to be that they were service corps of retired executives, but now basically anybody can be a SCORE volunteer once they go through the meet the criteria that SCORE has, but they don't have to be a retired executive. They could just have subject matter expertise and want to volunteer their time. And then the SBDC, well, we have services, resources that business owners can take advantage of, and those services and resources, most of them are at no charge to you because your tax dollars have paid for most of what we do. All right, some tips. Now, when you're looking to start your business, most people are going to start their business using their personal funds, okay? And one of the advantages of that is when you're using your personal funds, you have complete control over what you do and how you do it, within the limits of the law, of course. And then the second place where people look for funding is family and friends. Sometimes they end up using their credit cards, revolving credit. Sometimes people take out the equity in their homes to help finance their businesses. So basically, say your house is worth $100,000, you've paid off $50,000, so you can borrow $50,000 against the value of the home. Okay, another form of financing is venture capital. Now, venture capital means you give up some of the ownership of your business in order to use somebody else's money. And sometimes with venture capitalists, they want to have their hand in the pot telling you how to run the business. So you do lose some control when you use venture capital money. But those funds are usually available to like tech companies that are looking to have a really, really fast growth. And one of the last places people get money to start the businesses is from a bank, even if they're using an SBA loan guarantee. And a lot of people think one of the first places they go to get money for starting their business is the bank. But that's basically one of the last places people go, because they provide financing for a very small percentage of startup businesses, mainly because banks are what you call risk adverse, okay? And a startup business doesn't have a track record. So they're real leery about lending money to organizations that don't have a track record, okay? And then grants. Grants, there generally aren't very many grants for for-profit businesses, and or startups for that matter. But there are very few grants for startup businesses. Tip, best place to start looking for financing for your business is yourself. You want to start saving money. If you have a job, save a little bit towards this business that you want to start. And over time, start it part-time if you can, because most businesses don't grow as fast as most people would want them to grow. So you generally have to have a way of supporting yourself when you start a new business, because it takes a while for the new business to get to the point where it can support you in a lifestyle to which you've become accustomed. And the second most popular place to borrow or to get startup funds is from friends, relatives, and business associates. All right, now tips for writing a good business plan. You want to keep it simple and keep it focused. Now, there are some business plan templates out there that you can buy, but for most people, those are way too complicated. And if you don't know anything about accounting and bookkeeping in general, you won't even understand some of those business plan templates. And your business plan is going to speak in your absence, especially if you're looking to borrow money. And if the potential lender calls you to ask you about numbers on your business plan, if you don't understand what the numbers mean, then you're going to have a hard time convincing the lender that you know enough about your business to be able to make enough money to pay back, say, a loan if you borrowed money. And fancy charts are nice, but if you don't understand what they mean, you don't understand what the numbers represent, it doesn't help you much. Okay. There are some very simple business plan templates that are out there. The SBDC has one that we lend to people. The SBA has one on their website, and SCORE, and a lot of other organizations have business plan templates. And there are enough free business plan templates out there that you don't have to spend monies to buy a business plan template. Okay. Now, in your business plan, you want to be honest and objective. Sometimes it's kind of hard to be objective because generally, if we're working on something, we figure it's really good. But you want to be honest and you want to be objective. You want to do your research so you can see what businesses generally in the area that you're going into, how they perform. And the SBDC can help you with some of that statistical kind of information. Okay. And you want to review the business plan as an outsider. Now, if you're on the outside looking in, reading this business plan, do these numbers make sense to you just as a regular person? Is this just wishful thinking that this person has put in the business plan? It needs to make sense, and it needs to add up, needs to make dollars and cents. And when you're putting together your business plan, you want to put together a business plan that one can show you the worst case scenario. How little product and service can you produce and still make money? Okay. And in the best case scenario, obviously you're going to make money. But what's the minimum amount of product or service you can move through your business and still be able to make a profit? And in this day of computers, it's easy to change a few numbers and have multiple versions of your business plan. So you can have a best case scenario, a mid case scenario, and a worst case scenario. All right. All right. And your business plan is your roadmap. Okay. So you want to review it and revise it on a regular basis, at least once a year, if not once a quarter or once every 6 months. Okay. Because things change. And so, say in your business plan, originally you had financial projections for your expenses. And then you have your actual numbers for your expenses. So you compare your actual numbers to your projected numbers. Are they in sync? Are your projected numbers for your expenses way off? Did you really severely underestimate how much it was going to cost you to do business? Okay. And if you did, you need to look at where you underestimated and why you underestimated, and then you want to make those revisions. Okay. And if you overestimated revenues, you want to look at why did you overestimate revenues, and you want to make those revisions, because the numbers tell the story in your business. It's not rocket science, okay? But the numbers can tell you if you're making money or if you're losing money or if you're just standing still. Now, some people think just because they have a business and their cash register's ringing because money's coming in the business, that they're making a profit. If you don't track the numbers, you won't know for sure. Just because the cash register rings doesn't mean you're making a profit, because if you're a brick and mortar business, the cash register may be ringing, but you've got products on your shelves that you had to pay for. Okay, and if the cash register is ringing, but it's not ringing fast enough to cover the stuff that you have on your shelf, or it's not ringing fast enough for you to cover your rent. So you need to review these numbers on a regular basis just to make sure that, yes, you are in business, yes, you are making money, and if you're not making money, because you have projections and you have actual numbers, then you can compare them to see how you can adjust yourself. All right. Now, there are some mistakes that you need to avoid when you're creating a business plan. Never, ever, under any circumstances, do you want to submit a rough draft. You write your business plan. The SBDC can review your business plan with you. We won't write it for you, but we can help you review it. And if we can point out where you're a little short on information. And a business plan, yes, it's your roadmap, but if you're looking to get investors or you're looking to use it to attract employees, your answers on the different sections need to be more than just a one-sentence answer. Okay, you need to have a full-fledged paragraph to explain whatever it is you're talking about. Okay. And then when it comes to your financials, you don't want to use outdated information. You want to use current numbers, because if you're using numbers, say you have to do leasehold improvements on a place before you can open, so you have to, leasehold improvements means you basically are doing some renovations. If you're using numbers that were available before Hurricane Irma and Maria, your project is going to be grossly underpriced because the cost for renovation materials after Irma Maria just went through the roof. Okay, so it's real important that you use current information. And one of the things you need to put in your business plan are your justifications. Okay, your assumptions. I said earlier, you don't want to just pull numbers out of thin air and put them in the plan. What I mean is, so say, going back to the water truck delivery guy, he can say, well, I'm going to make $1,000 a month on water delivery. Based on what? Okay, based on X number of trucks of water delivered, X number times a day, X number times per week. Okay, so if I deliver 3 trucks of water 3 times a day, 5 days a week, I can come up with this $1,000. Or if I deliver 5 trucks of water twice a week, I can come up with this $1,000. You have to explain how you came up with the numbers in your business plan. Why, when you're putting, say if you have employees and you're putting in salaries, how did you come up with the numbers? Minimum wage is $10.50 an hour, so you can't put in that you're paying people $7 an hour to do a job in the Virgin Islands. Okay, so you have to explain why you're using the numbers that you're using. And so in addition to having information in the cash flow statement and the income statement and the balance sheet, you have to have in your appendix your assumptions, so that somebody reading your plan can look and see, oh, okay, that's how they come up with those numbers. Okay, now I can follow, that makes sense. But shouldn't just put in numbers just for the sake of putting in numbers. And one of the good things to do is to figure out your expenses first. So if your expenses come out to be $1,000 a month to do business, then you know your revenues have to exceed $1,000 a month. All right. And if you know you want to make, as a business owner, you want to take home $2,000 a month, then you have to look at the fact that, well, you've got to make a whole lot more than $1,000 a month if you want to take home $2,000 a month as your salary per se. All right. And do you want to do all the work that's involved in a business to take home just $2,000 a month if you're working the business 40 hours a week? Business plan, again, makes you look at what you're doing objectively. Some people have put together business plans and decided, yeah, I think I will continue with my job because it takes a lot less time and a lot less effort for me at this point in time than it would be to open a business. So business plans are good. They really make you look at what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, what kind of expenses are associated with doing what you do, what kind of revenues you can make doing what you do. And you do it on paper before you've mortgaged your cat, your dog, your firstborn, and then decide you can't make enough money doing this. Okay. Invest 10, 20, 40 hours, whatever it takes, invest the time in putting together the business plan to make sure, and you're never going to be 100% sure, but so that you have a pretty good idea that your idea is going to generate the kinds of revenues that you need it to do. And of course, in the first couple of years of a business, they generally don't make as much money as they will as they mature. Okay. Because people don't necessarily know that you're in business. Even if they know you're in business from day one, it takes a while for it to catch on and for people to start, patronizing your business. All right. I don't like the mouse. And definitely don't put in unrealistic financials. Don't say you're going to make $1 million your first year in business if you're selling widgets at $25 a pop. That's a lot of widgets to get to $1 million. All right. So what you want to do is review the information from today's workshop, begin working on your business plan, have your questions ready, and then jump into it. Okay. Set up an appointment with the SBDC. Well, first you want to go online if you're not already a SBDC client and register to become a client. And then we'll schedule an appointment for you so that we can sit down and go over your ideas. And every idea is a good idea. The question is it good for you? Is it good for here? Is it good for now? It may be a good idea in the States. And a lot of times people come to us saying that I have this business ideas and that we don't have it here in St. Thomas. Cool. Do your business plan on it to see if it makes sense to do it here. Okay. Some of the demographics in the States are very different from the demographics in the Virgin Islands. So you want to make sure that the demographics can support the idea, the product or service that you want to introduce to the market. But one of the cool things about business is your idea doesn't have to be unique. Okay. You can find a product or service that's already in the market and just tweak it. And you can go from the ordinary to being the extraordinary. Okay. It doesn't have to be an original idea, but you need to be able to differentiate yourself from the other businesses in the industry in order to make the kinds of monies that you need to make as a business owner. Oh, and at this point, are there any questions?
Mary Jo, thank you for that. I don't see any questions in the chat as yet, but can you go back to that previous slide?
This one?
Right, so while persons get their questions ready and they're putting it in the chat, I'll go ahead and say that SBDC has so much more in store to offer for you as VI small businesses. You can visit our website at www.visbdc.org, download the VI SBDC app on your mobile device from the appropriate app store, like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google Business, and subscribe to the VI SBDC YouTube channel for new uploads of our on-demand webinars. I was able to go ahead and put today's PowerPoint directly in the chat, so you can go ahead and download that. And I wanted to mention that this is our last live event for this year. We actually have a few of our presentations that we made available to the public, and you can just go to the VI SBDC training portal, and previous presentations, you can go ahead and rewatch them at your leisure, and just email us if you need the PowerPoint, presentation. Mary Jo, I have a question. Where on the VI SBDC website can I find a business plan template?
Actually, I don't think we have the template on the website, but under the resources tab, which is the last tab on the right-hand side of the website, at the bottom, it says business life cycle, and it has some questions. It has the sections that you should have in the business plan. And when you fill out your evaluation form, list on that you want the SBDC template and the SCORE template and the SBA template, and we will email that out to you. We'll email you the link.
Okay, so I was able to share my screen at the VI SBDC website. So we hit that last tab, resources. We went down to business life cycle. And then within there are documents, helpful documents. There's a checklist for starting a business, questions to answer, and so forth.
Okay, and then, yeah. And then also if you go back to resources and click on the last one is helpful documents. Oh, same stuff. Okay. But where it says,
Mary Jo, you still there? I just stopped sharing because we were receiving more questions.
okay.
Okay, so we have another question. Will digital marketing such as a YouTube, TikTok, and websites work well here?
It depends. Depends on your product or service. People here are on TikTok, they're on YouTube. They use a lot of Facebook. It depends on your product or service. But you can sign up to become an SBDC client, sit down with the business advisor, and we'll work through it with you. But websites work well, yeah.
So I don't see any more questions as yet, but I did see in the question and answer section, there was a request for a copy of the slides, and it's already there in the chat. You guys can go ahead and download it. Just a friendly reminder as well, we sent out the post survey request for this event. So please go ahead and fill out that survey. That lets us know how we're doing so we can continue to offer these types of training webinars at no cost to you. Okay, so I don't see any more questions. So I just want to say thank you, Mary Jo. for your presentation and those resources. And everyone, thank you for your time. And on behalf of the entire VISBDC network, thank you for attending and we wish you a happy holidays.